Welcome, welcome, welcome. My name is Andrew Geimer. You might know me as Bones, and welcome to the first movie review of this series, where each week I'm going to be taking a look at some great movies that are currently streaming on Netflix, so you're free to watch them, as long as you have Netflix. But each week I'll be breaking down one of movies from one of the main genre categories that are on Netflix, and we're going to talk about story and writing, directing, production design, all kinds of stuff. So this week I'm going to dive into a movie that is certainly apt for the time. So wash your hands, don't touch your face, and sit at least 6 feet away from the screen. There's been an outbreak. So this 1995 natural disaster thriller from Warner Brothers was actually based on a book called The Hot Zone, a terrifying true story, written by an author named Richard Preston. It stars Dustin Hoffman, Rene Russo, and Morgan Freeman, and it's about a team of army doctors who are struggling to find a cure for a deadly virus that is spreading throughout a California town.
I hate this bug.
It was directed by Wolfgang Petersen, who is known for Das Boot, In the Line of Fire, Troy, and, wait for it, The Never-Ending Story. What? It was written by Lawrence Dwyer and Robert Roy Poole, who, interestingly, this was really the only big writing credit that they have. It currently sits at a 59% fresh score with a 56% audience score, which seems kind of low because this is a great movie, you guys. With a $50 million budget, the opening weekend on March 10th was only about $13.5 million. It was in theaters for 42 weeks, but has since grossed almost $190 million worldwide. On the list of top grossing movies for that year, Outbreak comes in at number 19, beat out by the movie Get Shorty at number 18, and it beat at number 20, wait for it again, mother effing Braveheart. This movie beat out Braveheart. That's crazy. But then again, the top 3 movies of that year were Batman Forever, Apollo 13, and Toy Story, in that order. Okay, so let's get into it. Now, fair warning, this review may contain spoilers, so if you haven't seen the movie yet, I highly recommend going to do that, and then come on back. So you have been adequately warned. Now, I'm not going to do an entire breakdown of the plot because I'm assuming that you've already seen the movie and you know the plot of the movie. However, one part of the story and the writing that I do want to focus on here is on the point of escalation, raising the stakes. And I think this movie does a really great job of incrementally raising the stakes as we go along in ways that affect both the external and the internal storylines that are happening throughout the movie. So let's take a look at that. Now, in Outbreak, the external conflict is Dustin Hoffman's character Sam trying to stop a deadly virus from spreading, becoming a global pandemic, and killing millions of people, right? There's only 2 ways that storyline is going to resolve by the end of the movie. Either he's going to stop it, or he's not going to stop it. There's really no in between there. Now, the internal journey is Sam dealing with his relationship with Rene Russo's character. They are recently divorced, and he's dealing with all of the emotions and feelings and things that go along with separating from somebody who you still care about deeply and still really want to be with and are holding out hope for.
You know that you're giving me all the pictures of us.
Yeah, you can keep them.
You keep them.
I don't want them, Sam.
Well, I don't want them either, Robbie.
And again, that relationship, that conflict, is probably only going to resolve one of 2 ways by the end of the movie. Either they're going to realize that they still want to be together and give it another go, or they're not. Now, as we go through the movie, you can see how the writers escalate things conflict-wise as the movie goes along, in ways that affect both the internal and the external storylines here. Now, when we're talking about escalation and raising of the stakes, the central question that is at play here is really, oh God, how could this get any worse? So let's look at the main steps of escalation throughout the story here. Now, starting off, our characters are just living their normal day-to-day lives, working in careers where they try to prevent viral outbreaks. So, as characters who work in that career field, what would be the first step up of escalation from normal everyday? Well, the one thing that characters who do that kind of job don't ever want to come into contact with is a new deadly novel virus. So, from normal everyday things are fine, the first step up in escalation is a new deadly novel virus exists somewhere in the world. So from there, oh God, how could this get any worse? Well, the next step up is the virus is here and it's spreading. Oh God, how could this get any worse? Well, the next step would be, guess what? The government has a vaccine for it, but they're not releasing it. Now that's an example of dramatic irony where it's a step of escalation that the audience is aware of before our main characters are aware of it. So, oh God, how could it get any worse? Well, the host carrier animal that we need in order to make a vaccine ourselves has been released into the wild and could literally be anywhere. Oh God, how could this get any worse? Well, actually there's 2 strains of the virus. Oh God, how could this get any worse? Well, your friend gets infected and is now dying. Okay, now it's personal. Now the external conflicts and events are affecting the internal journeys of our characters, right? It's no longer just an issue that our characters are dealing with in their external worlds. Now it's crossed into the bubble of their personal relationship spheres and are affecting the people that our protagonist cares deeply for. So, oh God, how could that get any worse? Well, the person you're in love with gets infected and is now dying. So now it's like super personal. Holy crap, oh my God, how could this get any worse? Well, now your superiors are aggressively trying to stop you from finding a vaccine and creating a cure for this.
Your orders are to accompany me to Travis Air Force Base, over.
General, you don't understand. There's nobody sick at Travis.
Don't make this difficult for me, Colonel Daniels.
They're lining up an attack formation, so they don't want us anywhere but down.
Oh God, how could this get any worse? Well, now you've found the host animal, you've made a vaccine that works, but the president is going to nuke the infected town that you and your loved ones are in, and oh yeah, the bomber is on its way. Oh God, how could this get any worse? Well, the only way to stop the bomber and to save everyone you care about, you might have to sacrifice yourself, like right now. So you get in a tiny helicopter with Cuba Gooding Jr. and you go play Sky Chicken with an incoming bomber, hoping that they'll soar first, because if they don't, you'll both crash and everyone will die. But you will have saved the town and your loved ones from being vaporized. You just might have to die in order to do that. That's a pretty big step of escalation there. So you can see throughout the story there are steady, logical, incremental steps of escalation that raise the stakes both in the external events that are going on, but as well as the internal relationships between our characters. Now we have some really good performances here from Dustin Hoffman and Rene Russo and Kevin Spacey, who I think was nominated for some Best Supporting Actor awards for his performance in this. Morgan Freeman also does a good job too as sort of a kind of an ambiguous bad guy who seems like he's not really totally 100% on board with the bad things that are going on, and he's kind of on the fence about things. Much more interesting than his kind of two-dimensional counterpart, evil bad guy counterpart, Donald Sutherland, who is always really good at playing bad, but you just feel kind of underused here, I guess, a little bit. Also, shout out to Cuba Gooding Jr., who does a good job as sort of the greenhorn, the new guy who learns very quickly that no amount of study and training can really prepare you for dealing with horrible things in real life right in front of you. But he does a really good job, gives a really good performance, and his character really steps up to the plate by the end of the movie. And in a quick, hey wait a minute, is that moment, a young Patrick Dempsey, future Dr. McDreamy from Grey's Anatomy, makes an appearance as the idiot who brings the infected monkey to the States and starts this whole problem in the first place. And for those of you who are fans of the show Friends, the capuchin monkey that was featured as the host carrier animal in Outbreak is actually the same monkey that was Ross Geller's pet Marcel in the show. Side note, the movie states that capuchin monkeys are native to Africa, which they're actually not. They're actually a South American species. So, boom. Animal facts. Now, the director of photography for this movie is Michael Ballhaus, who is known for a lot of stylized period films such as Bram Stoker's Dracula, Gangs of New York, Wild Wild West, and oddly a number of music videos for Madonna. Now, the movie was shot on an Arriflex 535 camera, which was introduced in the early 90s, and it's actually a camera that's one of Roger Deakins' favorite cameras to use on his projects. Now, Ballhaus and his team did a great job. I liked the choice to have the vast majority of the movie take place during the daytime, which is a great sort of visual reminder that this is not a monster in the dark kind of thing. No one is safe at any point of the day, and it's interesting how seeing something horrible happen, or like horrific, can be accented and even a little bit more disturbing when it's happening in broad daylight. It's a clear visual communication that everyone is in danger all day long. There's nowhere to hide. There's no restrictions as to where this virus can go and who can be infected. Everyone is in danger. Now, in particular, the whole opening credits scene, which appears to be about a 3-minute long single take shot that sort of winds through the biohazard, the different levels of biohazard labs that there are in this facility. We wind through rooms and down hallways and we follow people. However, about 1 minute and 50 seconds, I believe, into the shot, you'll see we follow a military guy going through a pair of double doors, and the camera pushes in on his back into sort of a moment of blackness, and that's where the scene cuts. And then when we come back out, the second half of that shot picks up as he moves through the doorway. Probably because both of those locations on either side of those doors were shot in different places. But it was really well cut together, almost seamlessly so. But it's a very, very clean way of introducing the world of our protagonists, as well as getting us to actually seeing our main characters, Dustin Hoffman and Rene Russo, working in their lab in one of like the high-level infectious disease labs.
Isn't this your last day?
Yeah.
Which brings me to directing. Now, in order to accomplish scenes like that, you have to have a clear vision and the execution in order to be able to accomplish it. And Wolfgang Petersen brings a clear vision, and Michael Ballhaus provides the execution of it. It's a collaboration between director and cinematographer that allows for great and interesting, captivating shots like that and scenes like that. And Wolfgang Petersen, actually there's a couple shots like that, a little bit kind of longer takes that introduce us to a new location. For example, the first time that we see Dustin Hoffman's character's house for the first time. We start in the kitchen and it moves in through the living room space and then into the bathroom where we see him washing his dogs in the bathtub, right? But if you look closely, you'll see clues as to who this character is before we even really meet him at all. In the kitchen, we see empty pizza box on the counter, dirty dishes on the table. As we move into the living room, we see moving boxes that are still packed and stacked up around. Things are kind of sparse. It's clear that somebody has recently moved into this space and is maybe a little messy, a little dirty. Before we even see Dustin Hoffman in the bathroom with his dogs, we get little clues as to who this character is, kind of where they are in their life currently. And the art department does a great job of placing things in little bits of clues and hints here, but if you're paying attention, you get the feel that this is a newly bachelored pad. And so it's a great collaboration between director, cinematographer, production design as well that gives the audience these clues. Now, special note on the topic of vision. In particular, the movie theater scene where the infected individual is coughing and then the camera follows the infected water droplets as it floats through the air and into other people's mouths. That movie will give you OCD, I swear to God. But in the terms of visualizing an airborne contagion, I think that's maybe one of the best representations of that I've seen in film. Just the Ugh. Ugh. So being a present-day piece, all of the non-military characters and actors are dressed in the mid-90s styles of the day. So costume designer Erica Adele Phillips really only had to worry about the vast number of military wardrobe that she had to deal with, as well as the iconic yellow hazmat suits that we all immediately think of when we think of this movie. Now, music always plays a key role in films, right? Especially in the thrillers. So James Newton Howard does here what he's done in a lot of his previous works, such as The Sixth Sense, the first two Christopher Nolan Batman films, as well as the most recent Fantastic Beasts movies. He does a great job of accenting the softer, tender moments, making us kind of lean in on the tense moments of tension, and then gets our hearts pumping when things are going crazy and there's madness everywhere, without overpowering the moment and without distracting away from the moment either. He does a really great job. The music is really well done. And finally, it's boom time. I want to take a moment to give a shout out to someone who I feel like never gets enough love on the film crew, and that's the boom guy. So Gabriel Kubos, who is the boom operator for Outbreak, did a great job. He actually started as a sound utility on The Terminator in 1984. He's worked on Milk Money, Don Juan DeMarco before Outbreak. After Outbreak, he worked on The Net and the Greg the Bunny series. So I just want to give a shout out to Gabriel, rocking it. Keep up the good work. Hold strong. Stay out of freaking. Okay. Now this is kind of messed up. So, the ending of the movie, where we see the bomb explode over the water, right? Originally, it was scripted to explode over the town and vaporize it. They actually did the effects sequences that showed the town being destroyed. However, during test screenings, audiences didn't really respond that well to the town being destroyed. Shocker, the audiences didn't like that. And a final little fun fact, originally Harrison Ford, Mel Gibson, and Sylvester Stallone were offered the roles of Colonel Sam Daniels originally, but they all turned them down, and that's when Dustin Hoffman got the role. So when he got the role, the writers rewrote the script a little bit to kind of fit his acting style and his persona a little bit better. And apparently the director, Wolfgang Peterson, was actually kind of excited because he thought that having a more dramatic actor like Dustin Hoffman, who's never really been in like you don't think of Dustin Hoffman as like an action star. Having somebody who's more of a dramatic actor being tasked with saving the world would lend a lot of credit and really good tension to the movie and to the story of that character. If it had been Harrison Ford or Mel Gibson, they would have done a good job, but it probably would have been a little bit more action thriller, as more of dramatic thriller like it is. And then, God, if Sylvester Stallone had been, hey guys, it's an outbreak, it's spreading, it's airborne. Actually, I kind of want to see that movie now. Well, thank you all so much for hanging out and staying with me. I hope you picked up some good information, and I hope you didn't catch anything else. However, one thing that is a good thing to spread virally is this channel and this video. So be sure to like and subscribe, share with your friends, and be sure to join me next week as I dive into a science fiction sleeper, The Signal. Okay, bye.